welcome everybody to another episode of Who's Got Clout, hosted by Clout Forum. And my name is Mark Bentley. I'm tuning in from Perth in Western Australia. We have our co-host Alex Roken tuning in from the magical lands of Russia. And together we'll be holding the space as we take a deep dive today with a very special guest who, before I bring you on, the special guest we have today is Mr. Tristan Wood. Now, Tristan, before I bring you on, I just want to read out the little write-up we've got here for you to give anyone context that might not have met you yet. And then I want to jump into this conversation. So today's guest is Tristan Wood, who is a director of Saving the Survivors. So if you haven't looked that up and followed it on DSO, then make sure you do that. Saving the Survivors. STS, world-renowned organization, which provides medical treatment to wildlife across Africa who have fallen victim to poachers and helping humans and animals coexist on Earth. Tristan attended public school in the 1980s, but rather than follow the normal course, he broke from the establishment and enjoyed early adult life traveling and working in various industries. In 2003, Tristan joined one of the other STS directors, Paul Naden, in one of his companies, and since then he has worked alongside Paul in numerous businesses and on many adventures. Tristan has a background in finance, a great understanding of social media, and he brings a wealth of general knowledge and organizational skills to Saving the Survivors. So with that, my friend, Tristan Wood, let's get you up on that screen and how are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you. Very well. From the opposite side of the planet.
Indeed. We were just having a little pre-show chat and I was saying I was recognizing the accent because one of my best mates when I was back in primary school, I think he was from around Manchester way, and I heard that coming through in your accent. So it made me feel very much missing the old days.
Yeah. My brother-in-law lives in Adelaide, so we regularly connect with your side.
Nice. So you've been down to visit, come to Australia?
No, he only emigrated just before COVID. So he literally went out, had his mandatory stay in a hotel. And then being in Adelaide, he's been in and out of lockdown ever since he got there, really. But he's loving it. Yeah, absolutely loving it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, before we get started, Tristan, just want to do a big shout out to everyone watching on the live streams. We're streaming to YouTube, Twitch, going straight on to DSO with the live as well. If you are watching live and you want to come and join the crew in the Zoom room, we've got a great little bunch already gathering. So big shout out to Clay Perry, who's here with us, and Lisa, Wildography on the platform, Bones Digital Art, all joining us for the conversation. So to join us here in the live Zoom room, just go to cloutforum.org and you'll see a link, join us live. It's also all over the platform. Pretty hard to miss it. So come in and you can help co-create the conversation in the chat. All right, Tristan. So let's get started. First things first, I kind of like to start the conversations just to get an idea of how long have you been on DSO or BitClout and how did you get here? What's your origin story?
Yeah, so we started off on BitClout. I think I'd have to check, but I think it's 80 odd days now. So we've been on a good while, long enough to have had a good look around, collected a few good followers, made a lot of friends. 90% new friends, which has been fantastic considering we are across all traditional forms of social media. So we have a decent following on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It was Lisa who introduced us to BitClout. Lisa is across all social medias. She has been on BitClout for a lot longer and was showing me what it was all about and who was on there and what reaction she'd had and interaction with the community on Clubhouse, things like that, outside of the DSO format of BitClout or Diamond, taking everybody up, in the Clubhouse and sort of cultivating relationships there as well, that were made on BitClout. So so we knew what it was about from Lisa, and she'd teed us up and ready for us to join as the organization. And yeah, fantastically well received. As I said, the main thing for us was that it was a completely new audience. You know, we thought we were, it amazes us. We spend our days as veterinarians, as a veterinarian organisation, working within our conservation world, our little bubble of, you know, people who follow conservation or work within conservation or African wildlife. So within our bubble, we're pretty big fish in a small pond, pretty well known in the circles that we move in. So, you know, if we go to other within conservation, wildlife conservation, centric on rhinos, elephants, lions mainly. So it's always fantastic to meet new people. And DISO was exactly that. It was a brand new audience, which was great because whenever we reach a new audience, we know that what we do, we're so proud of what we do, and we know that it's a great product that to offer, and we're always very well received. So to find a new audience is so exciting, and to be able to interact with them a little more personally than we have in traditional social media, because we have such large followings. I mean, nothing really compared to Lisa's followings, but we've, say, you know, 150,000 on Facebook, 50 odd thousand on Instagram. You know, there's no real personal connection with even our closest followers and most loyal followers, because there's so many comments, messages, and so on. Whereas on BitClout and Diamond, there's relatively few, and in Clubhouse, and it's just a lot more interpersonal. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it so far.
That's a fantastic summary, Tristan. It's you know, I'm just sitting here grinning away just listening to this, because it's one of the things that, you know, I fell in love with when I saw BitClout originally. And I think so many of us that are here in the room and that are watching this and along the platform that are still, you know, the OG still going, is really saw just the beginnings of the potential of what was possible. So when you know, Saving the Survivors, when you guys began being really active on the platform, it's like, to me, that's a proof of concept. You know, it's like you are like heroes, not only heroes because of what you're doing already out there, which is 100% amazing, the work that you do. And if anyone hasn't checked it out, check out Saving the Survivors. You know, you guys have got some great photos up there. Those creatures, man, I mean, I can't even begin to comprehend. I've never, you know, I've seen elephant in real life in captivity, and it's a bit heartbreaking. Yeah. And I've promised my boy to come to Africa someday. His mother's side is from Africa, so we're going to make the trip. Yeah. But so what's your experience so far with, because one of the things I could imagine is, I know my heart always bleeds a little bit for people that are on the streets and they're sitting there with their little tubs trying to get spare change, trying to raise money. You know, it's kind of like the old school way we used to do everything, right? Getting people to subscribe and the rest. So how recent is this change? You know, and I'm assuming there is a change in the way that we go about raising funds.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID has had a lot to do with it, with a lot of financial transactions in general, and charity giving is no different at all. Obviously, COVID restrictions across the planet have pretty much put paid to, and certainly over the last 18 months, people physically going out and rattling tins, as well as the fact that cash in general has pretty much disappeared from the high street. Especially in the UK. Yeah. So COVID has really speeded up the process towards a cashless society, and we've really felt that. However, COVID has been good because the figures show that over the last 18 months of the COVID situation, philanthropic giving has actually gone up. Now, those figures have actually been slightly skewed by giving to COVID charities, so to, you know, health service personnel charities, key worker charities, things like that. So people have given more, but obviously in general, as a whole, people have had less money because people have been out of work and so on. But charities who operate online or have an online presence have had an almost captive audience at some point over the last 18 months when people have been in lockdown and so on. So people have turned to the virtual world to connect with things that they used to connect with, on the high street. And like I say, the same is for shopping as it is for charities. So we've really seen that change. We've been operating as a charity, as a registered charity, since 2012. We've been delivering the work that we deliver since probably 2008. So we're well over a decade into doing what we're doing. We've been on, say, Facebook since 2015, 2016, I think. And that's our bread and butter, traditional following, because, if you were to analyze, as we do, the statistics of what one of our supporters looks like, it's a middle-aged and up, so 45 plus middle class female from America, Europe, Canada, and Australia. Now that demographic is a Facebook user, so that's why we've always sort of relied on Facebook as our main shop window, our main way of showing what we do to the world, because obviously, not everybody can come to Africa. Very few people can come to Africa and actually see what we do and experience it. And as we've said before, it's very difficult to get out in front of people. We used to do tabling events, where we'd go to events and we'd have a table with flyers and collect money and spread the word that way. But they're so inefficient, really, compared to, the audiences you can reach online. So all that was accelerated by COVID, and we've in the field, our work is pioneering in its nature, because there's no dedicated equipment or training or anything for wildlife medicine. So all the equipment we use is begged, stolen, borrowed, and adapted from other medicines. So either human medicine or domestic animal medicine. The closest thing that comes to large mammals, horse and equine and bovine veterinary equipment, but made for those size animals. Nothing is made for a 3-ton rhino or a 6-ton elephant. We have to adapt things or have things specially made. So, and the procedures that we implement in the field with using different materials and so on, they're all groundbreaking and literally, feeling our way along from the beginning in sort of around 2010. We feel the same way about our fundraising. We always want to pioneer. We always want to try new things. We always want to try and connect with new people. However, we always want to make sure that any of our efforts are profitable, I suppose. Profit to us is donations. While outside of the field, our only costs are a very small team of people who run the administration side of things and fundraising side of things, but we don't have, which is something we're very proud of, we don't have professional fundraisers out there working on our behalf. Everybody is genuinely a volunteer outside of the people delivering the work on the ground in Africa, and the core team of people in the charity. So that's something we're very proud of. So because we're such a small group, anything that we embark on, we need to ensure that it's a good use of our time. So as I said before, a tabling event, it may take a whole afternoon or day for a couple of us to do that. Whereas, if we spent a whole afternoon on something like this, or BitClout or Diamond or Clubhouse, we can reach so many more people. So it's definitely something that we were always interested in. And then obviously when Lisa showed us the capabilities of what we could achieve through BitClout, we were immediately interested, and was like, fantastic. Let's get in there and hopefully get in on the ground floor. It was super exciting that there was nobody. There's never anybody that does what we do, and in any platform. However, there was literally nobody doing anything like what we do on BitClout. So we knew we had a virgin audience with no philanthropic outlet on BitClout at all. So it was an amazing opportunity to come in and be that that presence in these early days of the platform. I'm going to have to let you know that you do have to stop me sometimes, because as anybody who's been on, with us on Clubhouse or anything, I can tend to just go on all day.
Yeah. Tristan, honestly, I'm a lot like that myself if I'm on the other side of the table. And so it's kind of nice just sitting, and actually you're a great storyteller. So everything you've been bringing, but thank you. I'll take note. But what I will do is I will just jump in then and say, you brought up such a really good point, which, to be honest, has been one of those things that used to be like a nagging thought in my head when people were asking for donations everywhere, was always that part that thought, how efficient is actually this? Like, how much money is going to the cause? And there was always, you hear a lot of stories and things, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about the efficiency of this, I mean, even, DISA, I mean, obviously it's going to grow, it's going to expand, but the efficiency and the intimacy, the directness of the transactions, and then being able to see the results, is really encouraging. For me, it's a whole nother game. I'm much more encouraged to give.
It's super important for us, the transparency, the donor journey, the connection between the supporters and the work that we do, the connection like this, the ownership of the cause for the supporters is so important, because at the end of the day, the reason that we all got involved in it was because it moved us in the first place, and we want to portray that and gain further support from other people, and hopefully what we do is then infectious down the line, and it carries on, like what Lisa does and so on, as Lisa's obviously our official ambassador for Saving the Survivors, and breaks new ground all over the place for us to explore.
Absolutely. Just on that note, Tristan, that's why you're here right now. It's Lisa. So big shout out, Lisa. You're incredible. It's like Lisa has been, you hear on Clubhouse, you see it everywhere. She's been doing such an amazing job, and she does it in a way that isn't pushy either. It's not in your face. It's like Lisa does such an incredible job of really just, bringing that into people's awareness. So big shout out, Lisa.
Absolutely. And at the moment, as I said before, through COVID, charitable giving has gone up, which also breeds donor fatigue. As you said before, there can be days when you just feel that it's constantly people with their hands out asking for money for cancer or wildlife or soldiers or ex-service people, or there's just so many worthy causes, but it can be overwhelming, and donor fatigue is a massive thing right now, which we're very aware of, that everybody is just being asked for money all the time, when at a time when majority of people are actually strapped for cash themselves. But you also have a lot in the last couple of years, a lot of horror stories that have come out, the likes of big charities like Oxfam and so on, where funds have been misappropriated, or maybe the charity hasn't acted appropriately, that's been supported by the public. So there is a great amount of charity mistrust, and the internet has helped and not helped in the fact that information is readily available, but it's also readily misinterpreted. So it's difficult. And as a charity, we pride ourselves on our transparency. It's very difficult to get a snapshot of what is happening sort of financially within any charity, but especially within ours. For instance, we're registered charities and basically 3 separate businesses in America, the UK and South Africa. So if somebody was to take, an American donor was to take a look at as you can, as registered charities, our books are open, to take a look at, the costs or the donations or anything in there. America is purely a fundraising vehicle for donations in America. So Americans, we've found traditionally, will prefer to donate to a 501c3 registered, American charity with an American address, an American presence, registered in 50 states. There is a lot of mistrust in with American donors. A vast majority of American donors like to donate via post, by check,
Okay.
and through direct mail, which is amazing. It's something we used to do in the 80s and 90s in the UK, but it's pretty much all died out now, maybe coming back a little bit.
Just one moment there. Sorry about that. There we go.
Yeah. So direct mail amazingly is coming back, because email killed it in the 90s, and email killed paper mail in the 90s. But now, pretty much, if an email gets through to your inbox, 90% of them, if it's not from someone you don't know, you delete it before you've even read it. So, email is dying through spam filters and firewalls, and the sheer amount of email that you get, very much akin to in the 90s. You used to get a thick wedge of flyers through your letterbox with a couple of letters that were actually for you, and you just put those in the bin without even reading them, or lit the fire with them or something. And now the same is happening to email. So yeah, postal donations massive in America for us now. So we if you was to look at just the American charity, it's purely a donation channel. So if you look at the accounts, there's a lot of donations coming in and a lot of costs going out for fundraising. If you were to look at the UK charity in isolation, you've got some wages for the, some salaries for the back office operations, and you've got a lot of income because a lot of donations go through there again, because Europeans like to donate to a European registered charity with a European address. And then if you then look at the South African charity, it purely has income from that it hasn't solicited, so it has no costs at all, because they're all in the other charities, and it purely has income and money spent on the ground, because all that is paid for through there is the materials that we use on the ground. So if you were to take a snapshot at any one of those, if you're American and just look at the American charity, you might question what we're doing, but you'd have to look at the whole, and we do produce a report every year on how the whole operation has worked, and we're very proud of it. Again, we, in the time of charity mistrust and so on, it's very important that we are. And to touch on something else that circle back to something else that you said about the journey, the ownership for a supporter. We feel that our donation journey is as short as it possibly can be, because the majority of times that we actually put out a campaign for donations, it's what we call a capital campaign. So there is something that we require funding. So there'll almost be, quite often a totalizer type thing. We need to deliver this piece of conservation, whether it's a rescue or whether it's a translocation or whatever the project is. It has a dollar amount, and what you've given towards that dollar amount, and it's been achieved, and it's all very transparent. Obviously, we have monthly running costs. It costs around $20,000 a month just to keep us active. We have vehicles, which amazing. Our vehicles are donated by the Ford Motor Company. They have a wildlife foundation in Africa, and they loan Ford Rangers to conservation charities like ourselves. So, but we still have to fuel them, insure them, kit them out, put tires on them, that kind of thing. We obviously have all our costs of well, internet, phone, obviously wage costs for the guys, the vets and rangers and so on. And if we literally, to stay open, to receive that call when we're needed, it costs about $20,000 a month to do that. Obviously we deliver a lot of work with that $20,000, but on the day that we don't get a phone call, which not very often, but if there is one day where we're not actually active, we still have bills to pay, obviously. So a lot of our monthly donors, they know that's what their funding basically is keeping us ready. As I said before,
I was just going to say, and just hearing you share that, like, this is probably the first time, to be honest, that I've sat with somebody who's actually, explained to me how the organizations work, what's going on behind those scenes, rather than just on the street or just in a letterbox or something. Well, and already just hearing that opens it right up, makes me go, okay, that's what it costs. That's what you need. Gotcha.
Absolutely. I mean, the majority, sadly, and this is what breeds a lot of charity mistrust and donor fatigue, is that the average, what we call street hawker, which is somebody rattling a tin or sticking a petition in your hand in the street, they, on average, and their own legal requirement is they have to give less than 20% of what they raise to the actual charity they're representing. So they can take up to 80% for themselves as their wage for doing that. So we do not employ street hawkers. We don't have an army of people out there doing it. If somebody presents, our cause to you, and it's not one of our core team who obviously work and wear the shirt and, obviously is funded by the donations, like Lisa or any of our other volunteers, they're genuinely volunteering. That's what they're donating to the charity, is their time or their skills, and we have that again from Lisa, which is fantastic. She offers us airtime affords us airtime on her platforms. It gives the cause a lot of airtime and connects us with a lot of people. We have Ford, again, which is an enormous cost saving. We have 2 vehicles that they give us. We do have one of our own vehicles as well, which is owned by us, so we have to actually maintain that one ourselves as well. We have all our clothing. This is the branding's really small, but it's Craghoppers. So Craghoppers is a UK company. We're amazing that we connected with Craghoppers initially, because they're actually based in Manchester, 25 miles from where I live. I didn't realize that Craghoppers was it's a global company. Their clothing is sold across the world, but they're actually based in Manchester and were originally a family, a UK family business. So we connected with them and said, look, we're an international charity that operationally, back of house is based back here. Can we connect? And thankfully they supported the cause, and they supply all our staff with our clothing. So nice. All the coats, all these shirts and everything we wear, literally, bar the boots that the guys wear, is donated by Craghoppers, and we've had that relationship for getting on for 4 years now. And nice. that's no small cost. You do see other charities asking supporters to donate towards the uniforms of Rangers. We're very lucky that we don't need to ask our supporters to donate towards our uniform, because Craghoppers, they donate, if we had to buy it, probably between $5,000 and $7,000 worth of clothing every year. Now that's a lot of work that we can be doing with those donations that we would have had to have spent on clothing. So, these things,
absolutely,
these different types of support are so valuable. And that then allows donations from somebody who's seen our social media or our marketing and has been moved by the work we do to donate. that enables us to make sure that the vast majority of that donation actually goes towards what moved them in the first place, actually goes to treating an animal rather than going on any overhead costs. We work very hard to connect and make relationships with businesses so that businesses can support our overhead costs, or our monthly supporters who know that they're funding overhead costs, so that somebody who is moved to make a one-off donation, moved by a specific piece of material, a specific image, or a specific, like I said, capital campaign to raise money for something specific, their money, that donation channel is very direct, and that donor journey is very short.
It's beautiful the way you've set that up, Tristan. Like, because 100%, like, even when you tell me that again, it's like, it seems like that win-win-win, where to me, that's what decentralization is about. That's what blockchain, that's what everything we're doing going forwards is. How do we rewrite economics so that we've got a win-win-win all along, rather than how can I scam you to be the one that wins? And with what you're sharing there is a great example of, well, the partnership with the clothing company, for example, like they get a big shout out everywhere you go. And they in turn also get to do something good for the world and get that good feeling as well. So everyone's kind of getting this win. And 100%, like I can feel, even as a consumer on the other side, knowing that, there's that rhino needs help right now. That my emotional strings will just go alive. And then that feeling of being able to contribute and feel like a connection to what you're helping, rather than just this big mist of like, I think I'm helping something. It
is. And these, going back to the core of why we're talking, is channels like BitClout, Diamond DSO, Clubhouse, and so on, and this forum just is exactly what's needed right now, I think, to sort of clear the bullshit and say, this is who we are, this is what you're paying for. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's not an advert on the telly. You see them all the time on the television, or flyers or so on. That's not what we do. We don't just throw some advertising out there, hoping that it's something will stick, because it's a waste of everything that we do is using money that's been donated for a reason. So we do have some campaigns that are funded by people who know they're funding a campaign. So, for instance, in my bio, you mentioned Paul Naden, one of the other directors. So Paul is a self-made, wealthy, retired businessman, and he funds a lot of the charitable activity, a lot of where maybe we are doing something that's maybe speculative. Paul will fund it, or he'll underwrite it, that if it isn't successful, he'll pay for himself. Fantastic. And because Paul fulfills that role as our sort of main benefactor funding line, we're kind of financially incorruptible, because if something doesn't work, we know that it will be paid for. So it's difficult to show on paper, and as I said before, you can get figures, everything is available, and everything is misinterpretable until you've had a conversation. And so we are trying to make our guys on the ground more accessible. It's very difficult in Africa. I really wanted to try and get Johan involved in some stuff today, but unfortunately they're voting in South Africa right now, and it's very, it's not great times down there. No. So because we've just had a great sort of ripple across social media yesterday and today, because the Daily Mail picked up a story of one of our survivors, misreported it a little bit. They kind of made out that it had happened right now, whereas the actual survivor was, we rescued him back in 2016, which, to be honest, actually worked in our favor, because the story's gone really well. It's gone down really well with the world press. Ricky Gervais retweeted it yesterday, which then threw it even further. Lad Bible picked it up and threw it even further through social media. So that story is currently, in the last 24 hours been doing really well. The fact that it was sort of not misreported, but the facts weren't all in the story, has actually played into our favor, because everybody was like, oh my God, this particular survivor, Sayer, is one of our most amazing survivors. Everybody thought that it was happening right now, and then we've been able to come on and say, well, actually, it was 5 years ago, and this is what's happened in the last 5 years. Everybody was
nice.
reacting, saying, "Oh my God, I hope you save him. I hope he survives. How did they do it?" And we actually been able to come on and say, well, actually, the Daily Mail didn't quite tell you that this was actually 5 years ago. However, this was back in 2016. In 2018, we introduced him to his rehabilitation. In the first couple of years, he needed to be in a very small enclosure on his own. Obviously, he had a very big facial wound, and he had to be kept alone. After a couple of years, we introduced him to another couple of female rhinos, one of which was also a poaching survivor, a female called Lucky. She'd actually been shot, but managed to escape with her horn. So we introduced these guys, and then in 2019, Lucky had a calf. So that was actually still actually is the only calf of 2 poaching survivors in the world. Now that is, you mentioned proof of concept before. That's proof of concept of what we're doing. Saving one animal's life is fantastic. You've saved that one animal, great. But if that animal then goes on to reproduce, that's just awesome. That is conservation. There's a reason you saved that animal, because their genes are carried on into the wider population. And, we saved, so that was great for that particular story that's currently ongoing in the global media. And we were able to, reply to everybody who was saying, oh my God, I hope you can do something, to say, actually, we did, and this is what happened. And he actually had a calf, and he's 2 now. And, this is amazing. And he's actually...
So they got that happy ending, right?
Yeah, there. We're preparing to actually send him back out into a much larger enclosure in December, which will actually be more akin to the wild. So his journey has been fantastic, all funded by our supporters, all mostly under capital campaigns for particular things. And that sort of sense of ownership of that particular animal and connection with that particular animal's journey has been great for the supporters.
That's been fantastic.
So
Tristan. Yeah, I was just going to say that story right there, I think, captures, and you've brought it right full circle round to literally proof of concept of what you guys are doing, is what you're bringing to the table. And so for those that are watching, just being aware of the time, I'm going to have to hand you to Alex. It's always hard letting my guests go. But before I hand it over to Alex with these questions, what is the best way for people to support you that are watching this on DSO, on Diamond App or BitClout or wherever they're watching this? How can they contribute and support in saving the survivors on DSO? Yeah,
so many ways, literally, and this is what we're saying again about ownership of the cause for supporters. There's so many ways that you can support us. Whether it's sharing, our message with your friends and other audiences that you might have, that's great, because if you might not be able to donate as such, but you might share with somebody else who is, and obviously we all understand logarithms within social media, so that just a like, a comment, anything like that is fantastic for us. Other charities pay your Facebooks and your Instagrams and whatever to get wider reach. We don't do that, because we like our supporters to feel like, I could pay Facebook to put my story in front of other people, and that would be using supporters' donations to pay to go in front of other people. Whereas our supporters can do that themselves. If they share it with their friends, that's something that we then don't have to pay for. So sharing, commenting, liking, all that kind of thing within the world of social media, fantastic. Obviously, donations are what keep us doing the work we're doing, and that's the ultimate goal. We see
so lots of diamonds then, Tristan.
Well, diamonds and donations, absolutely.
Diamond showers.
So we see the charity very much as a business, and we see people's donations and support as an investment in us, in our business. So, and like an investment, a financial investment, we expect our investors to demand a return on that investment. And the return on that investment is obviously not financial. It's being able to see the work that we deliver, and that's the return on their investment. So that's comes back to everything that we said about the connecting with, the cause on the ground. Donations wise, again, we make ourselves very accessible. Obviously through DSO, there is all the different ways with the coin. Our coin, we have a 33% founder reward. Many NFTs. The NFT, we could have done a whole hour on NFTs that have benefited Saving the Survivors. That has been just an awesome learning curve for me. I love it. I bought many myself. Loving that side of things has been probably the highlight of DSO for me. Has been awesome. The NFTs. And then there is traditional donating. On our website, on the donation page, you can literally donate via PayPal, your card, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can donate via bank transfer. If you just click the donate button at the top right, there we go. I'll take you to the actual donate.
Alex threw me the link so that we could share it with everyone.
There you go. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Look at that. That's fantastic.
So here you've got the traditional donate through PayPal or your card. If you were to scroll down this page, we've also got the links for cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and also the bank accounts above there for transfers in, South African rand, pounds, dollars, everything.
Got everything.
So, again, we do try and make everything as easy as possible for anybody. Again, there's a few examples of what specific donation amounts would pay for.
That's such a great thing, Tristan. Like, as soon as I logged on, you got me to click this, and I saw that. It just knowing, okay, it can do something like that. That's what this suddenly goes. $10 isn't just $10 anymore. No. It's valuable, not just cash that's being thrown.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Tristan, I think maybe one day we should do a session just on NFTs. Maybe get them and do a big run with it or something. As we go.
I'm pretty sure we've got a clubhouse tonight. Just pretty much doing that for an hour.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, make sure you check it out. So make sure you're following the page. Now, Tristan, I'm going to hand you over to Alex, who's going to ask you some pop questions for you.
Okay.
And then we'll see how we go. Alex, you ready?
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
All yours.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask some questions with the long answer required, and then we'll go to some short questions, short answers. So my first question is, what do you consider as the biggest achievement during the period of your work in Saving the Survivors?
I'd definitely say, for me personally, with my responsibilities for Saving the Survivors, is the cultivation of the traditional social medias initially, say 5-6 years ago, when I came on board, the Facebook and Instagram combined was less than 50,000. So we've taken that to adding in, Twitter and YouTube and everything, and all the channels, probably 500,000 combined followers across all the channels. So basically 10 times where it was is where it is now. And it now being social media now being our number one income stream and most reactive income stream to, as we said before, capital campaigns. So I know that if we get a call today to a survivor that that is particularly remote and we need a helicopter and it's going to cost $10,000, I know that I can tell the vets, book the chopper, I will have that money tomorrow. And I know I can do that through social media. So that's just well, there you go. I'm super proud.
That's just incredible, and this is the way that helps you and helps your supporters to feel the connection with you. Because without these connections on social media, they wouldn't be able to feel this close connection that you've got, and that's why you can have this kind of support, and that's incredible. How do you fight the hot weather when you are in Africa? Is there any special trick methods for it?
No. So one of the things that we again pride ourselves on is that all the countries that we work in, all our staff are residents of that country. So the guys you see in South Africa are all South Africans. The guys you see in Mozambique are all Mozambicans. One guy's Portuguese, but Mozambique is basically Portuguese. So, but you know, so we pride ourselves on that, because if we were just Americans and Europeans, you know, marching into Africa to save the day, that's just colonization, colonialism. You know, that's not what we're about. We're about going in, empowering the local people. A lot of our work that we haven't talked about is outreach, education, and empowerment of local communities. And that includes our staff as well. So, yeah, with regards to the heat and so on, even for the guys who are, you know, African, born and bred, it still does get hot for them, especially this time of year down in the southern hemisphere. It's not so hot up here in the UK at the moment, but in Africa this time of year, it's crazy hot. We need to think first and foremost about the needs of the animal, because these large mammals, particularly rhino, elephant, you know, when we immobilize them, their bodies shut down. They're not able, and obviously they lay down, so their bodies aren't able to regulate the temperature as well. So in our videos and footage, you will see us pouring water over them to cool them. You might even have seen, if you look back through recent stories, maybe a couple of months ago, a rhino went down in a particularly exposed location. We go to take branches from trees and lay them over the animal to keep the sun off, and some of the guys hold branches to shield the sun from our vets as they're working as well. So yeah, it can be a big issue, but mostly only with the large mammals. If you're working with predators, they tend to be active at night. So when you're working with lions, cheetah, things like that, predators tend to operate at night. So we have to operate at night. So the heat isn't so much of a problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for this very detailed answer. Are you going to use NFTs as a source of your fundraising efforts, and tell a few words about the picture behind you?
Yeah, absolutely. NFTs are 100% going to be a massive part of what we do. We haven't released any of our own as yet. We're still feeling our way. There's many different types, as you guys know, there's many different types of NFTs, from, you know, traditional art that's then photographed, from photography, from digital art that's created.
Let me cut the question. So do you consider the possibility to cooperate with some artists on DSO? Maybe they will help to draw some pictures for the promotion of the Second the Survivors.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had, so far, I think we've had about 20 artists so far create NFTs and series of NFTs that either 100% support us, or a proportion of the sale supports us. And the beauty, so absolutely 100%, you know, NFTs are a big part of the future of the fundraising for the charity. The beauty of an NFT is the speed that you can bring it to the market, to the supporters, but also the possibilities on the back end. You know, in traditional fundraising, we could sell a picture like this, and we could raise that I bought that from another charity and I paid £450 for it. Now, I could sell that, and the charity that got the £450 for it originally won't get any more money. If that was an NFT, I could have paid £450 for it. I then sell it to somebody else for £1,000. In the way the NFT was set up, the original charity could then get some more funds from that secondary sale.
Absolutely.
Now, that is a game changer for charities. You know,
and another cool feature, I'm sorry to interrupt you, just trying to channel our time, and I just would like to add to the words that you said. You only can have a utility-based NFT, so you can have this picture, you can resell it, and you can put some unlockable content, or you can just give it some utility sense for it as well.
Yeah.
So a few words about the picture.
This is a brand newborn baby rhino, southern white rhino. It's a photograph by Marlon Dutoit, who's a South African wildlife photographer, big on Instagram, a friend of Lisa's as well. She regularly posts his photographs across her channels. Lovely guy, fantastic guy, in fact. He donated that photograph to a book series that we benefited from. So there was a book, might have one here actually. It's a bit dusty. There is a book called Remembering Rhinos,
wow.
Which the book series, the sales of it, a proportion of the sales was donated to our work. And the original photographs were auctioned off, and I bought that at the auction. So,
and this is a very cool example of how the promotion works on your site. And it's
absolutely.
Really cool.
I mean, but just imagine if it was an NFT. You know, we're so excited about NFTs. You know, I as I said before, I'm super proud of what we've done in social media, you know, taking it to where it is now as a funding channel for the charity. NFTs, in my mind, right now are as important a part of it within and outside of social media. So it's a huge, obviously, DSO, BitClout, Diamond marries the two together very nicely and makes it all work together. NFTs stand alone through NFT sites, your super rares and so on. You know, that's a whole different thing, and something else that obviously we are looking into and super excited about. But just that, you know, ability to take secondary, you know, a proportion of secondary sales as well and so on is just amazing, because ongoing funding for a charity, you know, passive funding is invaluable. You know, monthly donors, that's what you want. You want people who are going to support you monthly, so that, you know, next month we can pay the bills, we can keep the doors open, we can put fuel in the trucks, we can answer the call, you know. And the only way we have line of sight to that is through our monthly donors. We have confidence that we can raise funds through our social media channels and other fundraising channels, but there's always that worry that maybe we don't have the content to put out on social media, or maybe we don't. It's those monthly donors and that passive income, like you will get from NFTs, is so important. So yeah, it's going to be a massive focus for us, NFTs. Sorry for being long again.
It's all right. It was true joy listening to all the detail that you have in your mind and the great vision behind all of that you are doing. And speaking about DSO, it's called decentralized social, and from my perspective, charity is a big part of social of this name. And I hope then that when you will release some NFTs, Nadia will see it and will support it as a part of social. So let's jump in my very short questions, and I suppose we can get short answers as well. So, yeah, it's very quick and it's very easy. Just you need to choose, and that's all. So, what's your favorite newspaper? The Guardian, the Sun, or Daily Mail?
The Mail at the moment.
Gotcha. The best last movie?
Sorry?
Last movie that you saw?
Venom 2.
Awesome. The best last book?
The last one I've actually finished would be I've got loads that I've not finished, and I'm just trying to pick one that I would. I'm reading a Battle of Britain book at the moment. I've finished it, but I've gone back to start it again.
Okay. Tiramisu or chocolate cake?
Oh, chocolate cake.
Pizza or hot dog?
Pizza.
Manchester City or United?
United.
And by the way, did you consider to invite them for some sort of promotion for the charity?
Yeah, so my daughter actually works at Manchester United. I have a 22-year-old daughter, and she looks after the players every day. So we have quite a good connection with the players there. But like with anything, we don't want to do it. It's a big thing and something you only want to do once, and you only want to do well. So we will do something with Manchester United, hopefully, or some players. But at some point in the future, when hopefully they're doing better than they're doing at the moment, and we'll do something well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and invite your daughter to our podcast someday as well.
Yeah, you very rarely see it because she's not allowed to talk about anything. So
Yes. We'll do this sound beep when something was said that she didn't mean to say. Okay, thank you so much. I have all answers that I wanted to have, and you were very generous to provide it to me.
Thank you very much, guys.
Hey,
Mark?
Tristan, before we finish up, Alex, thank you, my man. I got to say, I always love, because I'm used to kind of being in the hot seat all the time. It's so good to be able to just sit back and see you grilled by someone else. You know? And his questions are always new to me, so I love it. So thanks, Alex. Now, we do have one last thing before we let you go, Tristan, is one of my favorite photographers in the whole world, and on DSO, Paul MP. So Paul has, while we've been here, he's been watching us live, and I'm just going to share the little page here. Paul, who's an incredible human, lives in the Southwest, just about an hour and a half south of me, the only person on DSO I've met in person, Tristan. Yeah. And he created Mortal Wombats, which was an NFT project to help with the wombats here in Australia.
Yeah, I've seen these guys.
Yeah, so Paul is an incredible man. And he just said, just a heads up, Paul MP will be selling one of our coins to make a donation to Saving the Survivors, who are live on Clout Forum now. And he popped in there and said that he's already sent it over. So it should be in the Saving the Survivors wallet for you already. So there you go, people. That is how easy it is. Throw money at these guys. They're putting it to great use. Tristan, you've just restored my faith in charity and this being possible, you know. And hey, Lisa, would you like to come on as we're saying goodbye? You mind if I'm going to spotlight you here anyway. Here's the wonderful Lisa. So it's a big shout out, Lisa. You're muted at the moment, but here you go.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Fascinating interview.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, so much for bringing this man on and for doing everything you do and sharing it out there.
Oh, he does a great, such a great job, bringing everything in on social media and everything. So, yeah. So, and I would like you to ask him a question that everyone keeps asking about BitClout Safari 2022 and the opportunity for people to go to Africa and see some of the famous rhinos like Seha, who NFTs will be made of in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've discussed this with Gabrielle, maybe, about doing the filming for the virtual safari. So it's something we've discussed it with a few people, and to be honest, it's something that happened at a few reserves during coronavirus, which was great for them. Obviously, they couldn't accept visitors, so they started to do, you know, just live video streams from a safari. But obviously, ours would be different with survivors as well in our work. So yeah, absolutely, it's something that we definitely want to do. We just need the world to open up again so that we can get the right people in the country. You know, we've literally only been talking this morning about when we're going back to Africa, us guys who live in Europe, because, you know, South Africa's only just opened up again for us to be able to fly there. So yeah, definitely 100%. I mean, I've never been more excited about social media than I am right now, other than 5 years ago when I first got hold of the traditional channels. So it's as exciting, if not more exciting now, with the new channels, definitely.
Fantastic. Lisa, I'm so glad you asked that, because Tristan, I've got Paul he's on Twitch, and he just said, book me in. He's keen on heading over in person, and he should be able to get out of the country by then. So like I say, Paul is not just biased, he's literally one of the most incredible photographers I've ever met, and beautiful human beings, and big fan of DSO. And I would love nothing more than to start seeing these partnerships, everyone's starting to cross over and having a DSO family tripping through. So
yeah, having photographers and videographers join us in the field is something that we pre-coronavirus we used to do a lot of, because one of the big problems for us is, you know, we need the content from the field to be able to put out on our social media, to be able to, you know, feed the machine that generates the donations.
Yeah,
our vets, and while they're working, you know, they can't be taking selfies and you know, and we don't have those staff, you know, just stood there with cameras and whatever. So yeah, we're super keen to connect with videographers and photographers who would be able to help, you know, come document our work and share their talents.
Beautiful. All right, well, with that, Tristan, thank you, Lisa, thank you, Tristan, thank you so much for bringing, you know, this to the world. And thanks to everyone that's been watching live. Big shout out to Bones Digital Art, who's here with us live, and to Paul watching on the Twitch, and everyone out there watching the rest of the many different streams we have flowing around the place. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next episode of Who's Got Clout. And,
absolutely. Forward to having Shannon Wild to be up here next.
Shannon's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lisa, you just keep throwing them this way, and we'll make magic happen together. I look forward to when we all get to have a big hug in person one day and celebrate what we've achieved in the years to come.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Big love to you all. And let's see if I can do this fancy episode closing. And we'll see you on the other side.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.